Hey guys, good evening, or almost, I should say, good morning. It is Friday night, February 17th, 2024. And I always promise to get these out to you before my head hits the pillow. Wow, it was a very busy day with lots of volunteering and different things that I was doing today. So it was a little crazy day, but I'm here for you. And we have a great show. And before we get started, I do want to thank you for being here, whether you're here at 5 minutes to midnight, 5 minutes to noon, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Doesn't matter what time you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate that. Today is the day we start with a brand new master topic. We roll all the way through the week and we finish up on a Friday. All right, guys. So I'll tell you a little about me. I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur and I'm a podcast host and a podcast coach. And I'm a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and, of course, being more scalable and profitable. I typically do work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. And I love to help people find the truth. That's what I'm about. All right, guys, let's get into the show, shall we? All right. So our master topic for this whole week is, what is karma? And when you think about what is karma, you're probably like, oh my gosh, John, I have no idea. But that's what we're talking about. What is karma? So let's get right into the first point, shall we? All right. The show's the specific topic, I should say, is Unlocking the Secrets of Karma, Series 3, Show 8, Episode 1. That Series 2 means we're in the third year. So the first thing I want to talk about is what is karma? So let's think about that for a second. What is karma according to Merriam-Webster? Well, let me tell you. So according to Merriam-Webster, karma is a noun. It's the force generated by a person's actions held in Hinduism or Buddhism or to perpetrate a transmigration in its ethical consequences to determine the nature of the person's next existence. It's also the energy. Okay, it's the energy around us is what I like to say. So it's that force, according to Merriam-Webster, that's considered as affecting the events of one's life. And your energy, your actions do affect what can happen to you and others. It's a characteristic or spirit that infuses or vitalizes someone or something. So very, very important. So we're going to get into this now. I think you're going to definitely enjoy this. We're going to talk about the first law of karma. And that law is the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. So what is the laws of cause and effect with karma? I think the easiest way for me to explain this is to let you know that, for something to happen, there can be a cause, right? So, because something happens, okay, then something else will result. It's pretty scientific. If you put your finger on a hot stove, you immediately remove it or it starts to hurt, right? In the world of karma, it works the same way. If you're doing something that's not going to benefit others or harm them, well, then it's going to come back and bite you in the rear, right? So the laws of cause and effect is a very integral part, and we term it as karma, and which means to act. And the concise definition, according to Oxford, or the current English definition, is it's the sum of a person's actions in one of his successive states of existence, viewed as a very important thing, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to be the next part of it, which will be actually what he or she would deciding his fate for the next. And it's pretty interesting. So it's not some voodoo magic. I mean, the way you act and the way you move through the world really does affect others. Today, I want to just share an example. So there was a person today. I was actually at practice today, and I was doing some, pretty cool things. And while at play practice, I was actually doing some engineering to help with a projector to get it. They use something called a rear projector. And there's a mirror, basically, that the projector points to. And then there's a big screen. Well, the problem is when the stage is, let's say, not as, let's say, wide from front to back, you have to move that screen way out. The problem is if you do that, you mess up all the blocking for people on the stage and their cues. So that could be a problem. So I was trying to figure out what to do. So I said, well, we need a projector with a bigger throat, so that basically it wouldn't need as much of a room to project. It could be in a lot shorter of a distance. Pretty cool. So got one of those from one of the school's admin team, and then we got it to work. I'm going to say almost 85% better because it was very small, the image. And the one person wasn't happy. They still wanted it wider. They wanted to be bigger. But the only way to do that was to have like a bigger mirror. And a bigger mirror was almost like $400 or $500. And then they'd have to rebuild the thing that the mirror was sitting in. So that was going to be kind of hard. But as I was helping these people, there was a lady there. And this lady was telling me, you're not a tech. And I said, I'm an engineer. Well, you're not an engineer here. You're supposed to be doing your lines. I said, I am. I'm actually helping them work on it. He said, well, I don't care about that. I just want you on stage. So people can be cold. Because, again, it's all about them. But, it was funny because here I am trying to help somebody for the greater good of everyone. And they just looked at it as a bad thing. As the fact that, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. When I was engineering, helping somebody with a solution, and they weren't even grateful. Now, there was another person that was in the team, and I had given some ideas about what could be done. And at the very end, before I was leaving, he said, John, we really have to just forget this whole thing. We really can't do this. And then he was getting frustrated. And I said to him, without saying his name, I understand you told me that before you didn't want to do anymore, and I got you. And it was like people just... I don't know, they act out of impulse, and they don't act in a respectful manner, and I see that, ladies and gentlemen, as a huge problem. And I was talking to another cast member, and I said, you know why I got upset last week? I was a little bit annoyed when the person told me to be quiet. She said, why? I said, well, first of all, it was rude, number one. Second of all, did you notice how the lady before asked us to come over to please be quiet? She came over very nicely. She came over personally and said, hey, guys, if you want to talk, could you just keep it down a little bit because I'm trying to concentrate on the show. That was fine. That was very respectful. But what this other person did is they just said, shut up. And I was okay with that until they went over bounds and basically somebody else said something. And they were talking, and suddenly it was like their noise wasn't loud. I don't know. So I feel, ladies and gentlemen, the people that act entitled are not. They're far from being entitled. So act as humbly as you can, and people will lift you up on that pedestal. You don't need to be on the pedestal, but act humbly. All right, so let's talk about the next law with karma, and that is the law of creation. I love this law. Again, it is called the law of creation. The power of manifestation, which we talked about all last week, and how our thoughts and beliefs actually influence the reality we experience. It empowers us to consciously create the life of our dreams. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't happen, like right away. But you start to slowly get insights of what something could be. You get those insights. And when you get those insights, it's like, oh, wow, you got that epiphany, you got that aha moment. I think that is like so incredibly amazing. So if we think about karma, all right, and we think for a moment of the law of basically call it the law of creation. Okay, so it's karma and the law of creation. And when we think about the law of creation, you might be saying, gee, John, how does it work? Well, it's actually pretty easy because our minds will bring into this world what it is we focus on, right? We've said that wherever our thoughts go, that's where the energy is going to flow. That's just kind of like, oh, that's an amazing thing. But a lot of people don't get that. So what is the karma law of creation? All right, let me try to give you like a step-by-step on this. And it's not hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that knowing what you speak into the existence, knowing what you feel, knowing what you do affects your life. It affects your life. So if we think about the karmic law of creation, it's the first law that basically flows effortlessly into the second law. And it's pretty likely you'll see how many of these laws are intertwined. So creation states that you must take an action to create the life you desire. You have to take some action. Now, you're a powerful creator, and you have the power to co-create your life along with the universe. But too often we sit back and say, okay, I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to think. So it's great to think. It's great to have these ideas. It's great to believe, and this is amazing. But you still have to take action. You can't just sit back in this chair and say, okay, I'm going to imagine $10 million, and it's going to come there. Well, you can help bring it to you, right? But you still have to take the action to finally get it. We can't just hope for things. You have to be an active participant. If you are in sports, and let's say you're playing a game, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, baseball, softball, right? Soccer. If you just wish the ball into the net, that's not going to happen. So it doesn't mean that trying to control outcomes or forcing things to happen or being stubborn on a path doesn't truly feel right for you. It doesn't mean that. It's back to the original premise of putting out the energy you want to receive. And it also means taking inspired action when your intuition leads you there. Now, when this person was a little bit rude to me today and happened to be the wife of one of the head writers, I was a little taken back. I was a little offended. And it's like the person suddenly believed like they could just do whatever they wanted. And I think that was just wrong. So if you want to create abundance, we talked about this before, first become abundant. Then when you feel that nudge to take an action, do it in the state of an ebb and flow. And so co-creating is taking the intention and saying, hey, universe, this is what I want. Help me become that. And just trust the universe, and you will flow into it. That is really the magic. But when we infuse karma's laws with energy, we get a lot. So the next law is the law of humility. We're just going to go through a few laws tonight, but every night we're going to go through some more. So humility. Are you able to accept responsibility for your past and present actions in the reality you stand in? Do you go back to things like, you hate your job, you hate a person? Maybe you're in a position and you don't enjoy things, and you haven't received a promotion in a while because you think you deserve it. You enter the office with a bad attitude and leave with an even worse one. Now, the way this person puts me, do I have a negative attitude toward the whole group? No, but that person does get my dander up in the fact that I feel like, who is this person? And I don't know, they're disrespectful. And I'm going to go back to what I said before, that you cannot act in a non-humble way. It's not about blaming others, okay? But people suddenly get all like stressed when things aren't going right and you're not doing your part, so they take it out on you. So if you want to change something, you have to accept what it is right now. I've said this before, and we've talked about this before. So you have to accept, you have to then believe you deserve it, and you have to allow it. So you have to accept it, you have to deserve it, and allow it. I call it ADA. Accept, deserve, and allow. And you can change it, right? You accept the role you're playing. You know you deserve a better experience. Remove those blinders, and you really embrace the truth. And then you're able to see what has to be changed or what could be done to create a life that'll be different than what you're in right now. So karma's not something that you get on Amazon. It's not something that you stuff in a book. It's about our energy. It's about the next law, which is the law of responsibility. This is one of my favorite laws. So the law of responsibility ties very closely to the law of humility. And in fact, all laws that we've discussed before all flow into responsibility. You have to take ownership. If you don't, if your current life circumstances, good or bad, then you're not going to ever be able to change them. See, responsibility states that rather than us just looking for external reasons or blaming things like, oh, it's COVID, or, it's the weather, or it's the people, or it's all these things. Now, I could do that and say, hey, it's not me, it's them. So if I want to look at this diplomatically, maybe I should be not so giving. Maybe I should just stay in my lane when I'm bowling. I shouldn't get into other lanes. You know what I'm saying, right? Because when there's responsibility and you don't try to push it on external excuses for something that might be wrong in your own life, you can then truly go within and change that. Because it doesn't start out there. It starts in here, ladies. It starts in your body, in all of you. So this lady today that wasn't very nice to me, maybe she was having some challenges. And over the years I've worked with her, it's like an on off. And you want to kind of be polite, but in the same token, they just act like a Jekyll and Hyde. Now, is that my fault? I would say no. Could I do something to perhaps not make the situation worse? Yeah, I could just give up what I'm doing and say, okay, sure. But I think that when we don't have respect for people, I feel it's bad. And I feel that from being with these productions for many years, people that act out because they believe they're entitled. I get this from actors. I get this from other singers. You get this from people that have been around the block a while. And when we're all just trying to, break bread together, why are we trying to be so defensive? Why? That's my question. Why? So the law of responsibility is pretty cool. And it allows you to evaluate your life from a place of non-judgment, consciously. What's right? What's wrong? What should I change? Instead of looking for reasons on the outside of you, dig within inside you. Because maybe there's something that went wrong. Maybe there's something that happened. And this isn't about judging or criticizing yourself. It's about getting to the matter of what is, accepting it, knowing you deserve better, and allowing that to come in. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and we've just crossed the stroke of midnight now into 12:16 a.m. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you will love, support the channels. Definitely scan the QR code. I'll catch you guys real soon. Hey, by the way, I've got to do right now for Friday night. Friday is actually my 40th day of mindful meditation, so you're not going to want to miss that. I will catch you guys real soon. Have an amazing rest of your evening, and remember, manifestation is the part, but without karma, we can't manifest. All right. So everything kind of links. I know you're going to love this week. So take care, everyone. And of course, be well and start knowing that the energy and the karma you put out in this world will greatly affect what comes back to you. So why not put out good? And I'll see you real soon.